All right, 49ers Cowboys preview series continues. Now we get to the meat of everything. We're going to do a Brock Purdy tape review of his game against the Arizona Cardinals, 20 of 21, historic stuff. That's going to be coming here a little bit later this Friday / this weekend to get you ready for 49ers Cowboys on Sunday night. Remember, we have some extra time to get you ready for this game because it doesn't kick off until after 5 p.m. Pacific time. It is the Sunday night game of the week. So I know some of you are getting antsy. It's 49ers Cowboys week. This is part of the territory. You're nervous heading up into this game. You're excited heading up into this game. And now the NFL is making you wait a few extra hours since the 49ers and the Cowboys are that national game kicking off on NBC at 5:20 p.m. on Sunday. So we'll have the Brock Purdy tape review, all that stuff to prepare you. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're ready for that. Today, we're doing our standard preview series. We continue with Brock Purdy against the Cowboys defense. And of course, we're going to have will the 49ers beat the Cowboys? We're going to have the prediction. All of that is going to be coming down the pipeline as well. This piece right now, it's up on the Athletics. So why don't you go ahead and check it out? It does actually feature my predictions. We'll get that State Farm ad. Oops, I do not want to click on the State Farm ad. My bad. They got me. That's clickbait. Clickbait State Farm. We're off of the State Farm ad. We have another 49ers Cowboys war of words, not ahead of this next showdown. 49ers and Cowboys, I think it's tamed out as far as what you look at from the 1990s when Jimmy Johnson was around declaring, predicting, guaranteeing victory, George Seifert firing back. Obviously, stuff was maybe a little bit spicy in 2021 when Micah Parsons was saying that he's from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where the bullies get bullied. But the Cowboys have been playing nice so far this year, and probably a little change of strategy. Maybe they're trying to butter the 49ers up after having struggled against them for 2 seasons. 2 straight wins for the 49ers. The Cowboys, I think, in a position where psychologically they need to overcome this 49ers hurdle if they have a shot at reaching their goals of winning the NFC and winning a Super Bowl, because the 49ers have had their number in a bully-like sense over each of the past 2 years. And that goes right back to what this 49ers offense has been able to do against the Cowboys defense in the power run game. 2021, the 49ers rushed 38 times, over 130 yards, had their way. Very first possession of the game, Elijah Mitchell scored to the right. It was a sweep to the right. And Brandon Ayuk had one of the most impressive blocks that you'll ever see from a wide receiver, because Ayuk is nowhere near as heavy as Micah Parsons, but he was able to seal Parsons, and he pissed Parsons off by continuing to block him even after it was clear that Parsons wasn't going to be able to make a play and Mitchell was crossing the goal line. And that upset Parsons so much because he wasn't used to getting bullied. He'd been talking about how he was going to bully the bullies. Well, then Brandon Ayuk bullied him on that first touchdown. So Parsons actually took a swing at Brandon Ayuk. And at that moment, when I saw the exceptional ability of Brandon Ayuk to seal off an edge defender much heavier than him, but then B, when I saw Ayuk get under Parsons' skin in Juwan Jennings-like fashion, said there's no way the 49ers are losing this game. If Parsons is already frustrated on drive 1, taking a swing, 49ers are already in the Cowboys' heads on drive 1. That ended up being the case. They jumped out to a big lead, and they held on to that lead. Dak Prescott saw the clock expire on him at the very end of the game, and it was 23-17. 49ers went on to Lambeau Field where they would beat the Packers. Following season, which was the most recent season, 2022, Dallas actually showed up a little bit more ready to stop the run for the 49ers, because they said, hey, Elijah Mitchell, we saw that first touchdown last year. These are all perimeter runs. Dallas stayed at home. They geared themselves up for perimeter runs from the 49ers. And in the first half, the 49ers managed only 27 yards on 11 carries. So that's 2.5 per carry. It's not good enough. It wasn't good enough for the 49ers to pull away from the Cowboys. It was a 9-9 tie at halftime against Dallas. But in that second half, the 49ers managed 4.1 per carry. And what they did is they stopped playing to Dallas's strengths. They started playing to their own strengths, at least comparable to the Cowboys. The 49ers started running power. And this is why the diversification of the 49ers rushing arsenal over the past couple of years has been so important. Kyle Shanahan showed up in 2017, and this was an outside zone team through and through. Zone blocking, perimeter runs, fast running backs, you name it. But ever since about 2021, the 49ers have been trying to get bigger at both running back and along the interior line. Why are they trying to get bigger? Because they're trying to become more multiple as an offense. They realize that an elite defense like the Cowboys, full of guys who can pursue, if they're banking on that outside zone game, on the perimeter rushing game, they're probably going to be able to stop it. So you have to be able to hit them with a counterpunch. And that counterpunch for the 49ers has been the power interior run. A lot more gap scheme stuff, a lot more power stuff. Aaron Banks is the biggest guard that Shanahan has ever drafted. He's blocking phenomenally well on that left side. Obviously, they've retooled the right side as well with Spencer Burford there at the right guard position. I think he's exceptionally strong, especially for a young guy. He's been really good. He's combined the two philosophies that the 49ers have tried to merge with the get off of the offensive lineman, the ability to block in space, athleticism, plus some strength. I think he's been really, really good on some of these run concepts that the 49ers have offered. And then Jake Brendel, he's kind of the brains of the operation in the middle at that center position. So Brendel, athletic, but he's shown some ability to be powerful in the run game as well. So anyway, last year it worked against the Cowboys just by running straight at Micah Parsons and this defense. And the Cowboys' weakness versus the power run is very pronounced. And the reason I put but is because here's the first statement. Dallas's pressure rates are absolutely off the charts. Micah Parsons is a special player. DeMarcus Lawrence, 31 years old now, really good as well. Osa Odighizuwa, defensive tackle. That guy can rush the passer. We saw it last year. Dallas's defensive line pressure rate is over 10 points higher than any other teams in the league. So they get after the quarterback in a pin your ears back situation more effectively than any team in the NFL by a mile. But their weakness versus the power run is pronounced. And that's why you've seen Dallas blow out 3 opponents, blow out the New York Giants, blow out the New York Jets, and then turn around and blow out the New England Patriots, but lose to the one team who was able to challenge them on the ground, the Arizona Cardinals. 222 yards, 7.4 per carry for Arizona. Arizona ran straight at Dallas and played the game on their terms. So the key for the 49ers is to play this game downhill, because you want to run a Micah Parsons when you see that he can do this to you in the pass game. This is last year. First, George Kittle tries to chip him, and then Parsons completely destroys Mike McGlinchey, and Brock Purdy doesn't have a chance, has to get rid of the ball. Probably his most, turnover-worthy throw of the game. Again, watch Parsons' left side. He's going to get a little chip action from George Kittle. Doesn't really work. Sidesteps George Kittle, and then watch this. He's just going to flatten Mike McGlinchey. That was the play that went viral as far as the photo of McGlinchey up in the air, just getting destroyed by Parsons. Obviously, McGlinchey's no longer there. This is probably going to be Colton McKivitz's problem now, but the reason that you want to run at Micah Parsons is because he could do this to you in the pass game. You have to put him on his heels. If he is on his toes, able to just focus on rushing the passer, he can destroy you. He will destroy you. He did destroy Mike McGlinchey last season. We can watch some tape from Micah Parsons last week against the Patriots. And notice that he's going to line up everywhere. Go back to this first clip. This is going to be an A-gap blitz. He's going to take on the center here. And he's going to beat the center. Mac Jones has to get rid of the ball quickly. Good job to complete that one for Mac Jones. Now against left tackle. Club move. Parsons. Pressure. Leading the league in pressures for a reason. Because he could do it against anybody. That's against right tackle. Going to work again against the right side. Decides to go against the interior offensive lineman. Another pressure. Forces another incompletion. Almost an interception. Parsons has delivered more pressures that have turned into interceptions than any other defensive lineman or pass rusher this year. 3 pressures of his have turned into interceptions. So the Cowboys, they can be a takeaway machine. It is thanks to this edge rush. And I'm happy I went back to the first frame and it circled Micah Parsons, because the 49ers interior linemen have to be ready for him too. He is the most adaptable pass rusher in football. So if you have the most adaptable pass rusher in football, the way to neutralize him is to take him at his weakness. And you could see, again, watch how slippery Micah Parsons is when it comes to pass rushing. He's kind of a, I mean, he's got long limbs, but he's able to move them in, such a fluid way to get around guys. It's not like he's rigid. All these offensive linemen look so rigid. Anyway, the way to neutralize him is to get a body on him and make him use muscle, because you could beat him mano a mano. Those linemen that look rigid against him in space look a lot better if they're locking horns with him. And that's why the power run game is such a good tool against Dallas, because all of a sudden in the power run game, he's not flowing the way that he can flow when he's pass rushing or when he's pursuing. And the 49ers last year, when they averaged only those 2.5 yards per carry in the first half, Parsons was flowing. They were letting Parsons flow. I mean, the first play of the game was a screen to Deebo Samuel. And Parsons, you have to give credit to his instincts too. Parsons just flowed to the outside, covered Deebo Samuel instead of rushing the passer because he sniffed out the screen. Brock Purdy had nowhere to throw. Osa Odigizua was in the backfield because Aaron Banks' job was just to chip Osa Odigizua, move on to block for the screen. But when Parsons covered the screen, Brock Purdy was screwed. So most adaptable pass rusher in football, the key for the 49ers is to play this game downhill. Back to my article. The war of words started with, it started with Jimmy Johnson back in 1992 or 1993. Let's not kid ourselves. But in this iteration of 49ers Cowboys, I think the war of words started with Micah Parsons saying, bullies get bullied where I'm from. So who's going to do the bullying in this football game? How much power are the 49ers going to run? I think they're going to run a lot of power. I think that's the one thing I would urge you to keep your eye on. What are the 49ers doing as far as their run schemes? Are they just trying to cram it down Dallas's throat? I think they're going to be trying to do that. Now, Dallas runs cover one. They run a tremendous amount of cover one, 63% of the time. That leads the league. Cover one means you're going to bring that high safety down, or you're going to bring one of the safeties down and leave one high safety up. But one of those safeties is in the box trying to stop the run. So you can align a cover one to try to stop power as well. So this comes back down to the guy that's pictured on your screen, Brock Purdy. Played a good game against the Cowboys last year. I asked George Kittle about the second half adjustments yesterday in the run game, and he pointed out that Brock Purdy made some throws that forced the Dallas defense to make some schematic adjustments and back off in that cover one. And that, in turn, set the table for the 49ers to run the ball successfully in the second half. So it's a team sport. You have to target Dallas where they're weak, but you also have to keep them off balance with some of your own doing. And Brock Purdy has the ability to keep the Cowboys off balance with his arm. A lot of people want to credit either the running back or the coach or somebody different than Brock Purdy. But at the end of the day, it's a team sport, and Brock Purdy has to do his part to enable the run game and to enable Kyle Shanahan to call some of the plays that he wants. You have to keep those defensive numbers off balance. You have to keep a defense on its heels instead of on its toes. And Purdy last year, his favorite target was George Kittle. And with the Cowboys running as much cover one as they run, I think that the 49ers are going to target George Kittle a lot again in this game. Because cover one, again, it means you bring that safety up into the box. It means you're going to have one-on-ones on the back end. You're going to have one roving safety. That one roving safety, he's going to be deciding what to do on a down-by-down basis, depending on where the 49ers happen to be threatening on any given down. I think there are going to be a lot of threats with Brandon Ayuk, right? He's been playing so well. I think he might get some extra safety attention in this game. And if he does, then you have George Kittle in a pure one-on-one. If Christian McCaffrey gets extra safety attention because he's been lighting the world on fire, you have George Kittle in a pure one-on-one. George Kittle's also such an important weapon in a game that's going to feature a lot of power running, or at least the threat of it, because he can block or he can go out for a pass pattern, and the opposing offense does not know which the 49ers will choose at the line of scrimmage. So, to me, Cowboys 49ers is Kittle written all over it. He had 5 catches for 95 yards last year. That doesn't include the hold that he drew that set up the Christian McCaffrey touchdown, which was the only touchdown of the game. So Kittle had his fingerprints all over the 49ers' most recent victory over the Cowboys, and I think he's going to have his fingerprints in this game as well. But that tape of Micah Parsons, it's scary stuff, and that means the 49ers have to play this game downhill. Parsons had 8 pressures against them last year. It was not a great 49ers offensive performance. And I talked about this. You go to my Athletic Home landing page. We can talk about Brock Purdy and measuring stick time. This is Brock Purdy's resume so far in the NFL, game by game. Blue is good, red is bad. So there's a whole lot of good. There actually hasn't been a bad game yet for Brock Purdy. But the least efficient game that he's delivered so far came against the Dallas Cowboys last year, and it was because Parsons had 8 pressures, DeMarcus Lawrence had 6 pressures, and Osa Odighizuwa had, I think, 4 or 5 pressures. So you can see the QBR and the EPA, the lowest that it has been for Brock Purdy. It was a grind for the 49ers. They kicked a lot of field goals. I mean, they were 5 of 5 in the red zone last week against Arizona. They were only 1 of 3 in the red zone against Dallas last year. 2.5 per carry in the first half, but they made those adjustments. They went to the power run. Purdy ultimately was nails. He made the throws that he needed to make, and that's going to be the story again on Sunday. If he does that, the 49ers will win. Most importantly, he didn't turn the ball over. And again, I talked about Micah Parsons forcing the most interceptions this year with his pressures. That's how the Dallas defense is designed. They're designed to get after the passer very aggressively, force some of those picks, obviously notch some sacks, but they want to goad you into mistakes with how aggressive they are. So you have to play the game downhill because you want to smother them. You want to push them on their heels so they're not the aggressor. You want them on the back pedal. If they're on the back pedal, you can beat these guys. You could bully these guys. It's the reason why Micah Parsons was talking about bullies getting bullied a couple of years ago, because he knows that's Dallas's weakness. He wanted to psychologically motivate his own team. Well, so far, it hasn't worked for the Cowboys. This is a huge game for them. I think bigger for the Cowboys than for the 49ers, because the Cowboys need to keep pace with Philadelphia and NFC East. And the Cowboys need to prove to themselves they can stay on the field with the 49ers. It's been tough for them over the past 2 years. Yeah, they played them relatively tight as far as score goes, but the flow of the game has so overwhelmingly favored the 49ers the past 2 seasons. Dallas has to prove that something has changed. And if something has changed, it's going to start with the 49ers run game, Dallas trying to stop it, and obviously whatever branches out from the run game, Brock Purdy throwing, and Brock Purdy could be throwing to set up the run too, so they have to worry about him. You're seeing a lot of complimentary stuff said about the Cowboys in the direction of Brock Purdy. I have a happy birthday wish right now to give on the air. Family friend, Taleva Falemi. He's turning 30 today. Taleva lives in Visalia, and he watches the channel. Big 49ers guy watching the channel. I think he's a big Talanoa Hufanga fan. Shout out to Tonga there. So happy birthday to Taleva Falemi in Visalia. He is turning 30 today. Why doesn't everybody wish Taleva a happy birthday watching right now? With that, we're going to open it up to the 49ers Q&A. G Ball says the Cowboys are takeaway kings. They are, but guess how many takeaways they had against the 49ers last year? Goose egg, 0. No takeaways for the Cowboys last year. And that was a big reason why the 49ers won that football game and why that was a good performance from Brock Purdy. And a lot of people still don't recognize that as a good performance from Brock Purdy, but a lot of people are wrong. The funniest thing is, and you can go and show this to people on Twitter, it's hilarious. You go back to my mentions on Twitter. I said, at the halftime of the Giants game, I said, Brock Purdy's on his way to another nice game. And people are all up in arms. No, he's not. What are you talking about? You're a homer. Just because they don't understand that a screen pass is a valuable play, especially against the historically high blitz rate. Of course, the 49ers ended up beating the Giants, and then everybody, once Kyle Shanahan spoke, once the tape came out, like, oh, yeah, David, you were right. Brock Purdy was playing a nice game against the Giants. Same thing with the Cowboys last year. I said, this is a really good game for Purdy in the teeth of a really, really aggressive, powerful, fast Dallas defense. But people, because, I guess it wasn't fantasy football time anymore, right? It was the playoffs at that point. But people were so conditioned to want to see 300 yards or 3 touchdowns or something else really stupid, some other idiotic benchmark. They thought that it wasn't a good game for Brock Purdy. But then you actually talk to coaches, you actually watch tape, and you're like, okay, if you know the game, you realize that Purdy hasn't played a bad game yet for the 49ers. Again, this doesn't lie right here. It's a whole lot of blue. And then I had to add teal at the very end because his Arizona metrics blew everything else out of the water. So, Purdy has answered the bell every single time for the 49ers. And the last time that he answered the bell against the Cowboys, he made sure to not give them any opportunity for takeaways. The closest might have been this play right here. And, it wasn't Purdy's fault that Mike McGlinchey got completely destroyed. Parsons sidestepped Kittle, destroyed McGlinchey. At this point, Purdy better get rid of the football because Parsons is right on him. He does. It's not a dropped interception. I mean, it was a good pass breakup from Trayvon Diggs coming over the middle of the field, but he's sliding the opposite way of the football. I think a lot of people are trying to say this is a drop pick. It's not a dropped pick. As you can see in this freeze frame, Diggs is reaching out, makes contact with the football, one hand sliding the opposite way. So it wasn't as dangerous of a throw as some people are saying that it was, but it was the throw that went most into harm's way. And it just underscores the importance of protecting Brock Purdy. That's what the 49ers have to do. And you protect him by running the football effectively to keep Micah Parsons off balance. And then you hope that Colton McKivitz holds up better against Parsons than Mike McGlinchey did last season. Still, you have to give Brock Purdy his flowers for how well he's protected the football so far. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey was dealing with a calf issue last year. So Elijah Mitchell actually got more of the workload for the 49ers against the Cowboys. Mitchell, I don't think he's going to play because he's missed practice on Wednesday and Thursday with a knee issue. Maybe he's back out there today and gets some time, but I think Jordan Mason might be the better option for running back too, because Mitchell's more of an outside zone runner anyway. And I opened the show by saying, I don't know if you want to run all too much perimeter stuff against the Cowboys. I think this is a team that you work on power against, and Jordan Mason might be the better option for that for the 49ers. Brock has exceeded expectations, and yes, that is an understatement. He has more than exceeded expectations. Number one in the NFL across all the efficiency metrics. He's been an elite guy so far this year. Is RB3 activated? Well, yeah. So, I mean, Elijah Mitchell, if he's down, if he's not activated, then Ty Davis Price is going to be active for this game. I'm really excited. This is going to be really good football at the top of the NFC. It's the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Eagles, right? At the top of the NFC. And so you get two of those teams watching. I'm sure the entire city of Philadelphia is going to be very tuned in, nitpicking the hell out of this football game. So I'm sure they're excited as well. I'll predict that yes. I think that Kittle will get a touchdown this week. I think he's going to be a significant part of the receiving game plan for the 49ers, just based on the way that the Cowboys play their cover one, based on the way last year went. Who knows, though? Maybe there'll be a changeup based on the tape of last year. It's one thing that we just can't firmly know at this point, right? We can predict things, but we can't firmly know. Jordan Cruz is 23-19 Niners. Well, Isaiah Oliver's not going to play outside. Isaiah Oliver played outside at the start of his career for the Atlanta Falcons, and it didn't go well. That's why he moved into slot cornerback. So that's not an option. The option is Isaiah Oliver on the inside or Deommodore Lenoir on the inside with Ambry Thomas on the outside. But the 49ers are not considering playing Isaiah Oliver at outside cornerback. How's Dobbs so good versus Dallas when the Cardinals play the Cowboys? Well, because Arizona ran the football with such effectiveness. This is a good question. 222 yards, 7.4 per carry. Dallas is on their heels. That takes the steam out of the pass rush. That's why it's so important to run. And because of that, Dobbs could bake a cake back in the pocket. He was comfortable. 17 of 21 for Josh Dobbs against the Dallas Cowboys. I guarantee you it doesn't look that pretty if they can't run the football. Probably looks ugly, just like it did for Mac Jones in this game. The Patriots were not able to run the ball. That's one of the most impressive completions from Jones on the entire afternoon. And then it gets ugly because Micah Parsons is just hunting the quarterback. A lot of inaccuracy, a lot of incompletions from Mac Jones because he can't settle into the pocket. Parsons rushing from right tackle, left tackle, A-gap blitzes. I mean, you have it all from number 11 in this game. Also, pick 6 in this game from Micah, not from Micah Parsons, but from the Dallas Cowboys. So the reason that Josh Dobbs looks so good compared to this is the one variable that changed is Arizona was able to run the ball. And the 49ers can run it as well. The 49ers are a good running team that has run the ball successfully against Dallas in the past. That's why I talk about the power scheme kind of stuff. All right, cool. 25-minute show. Will the 49ers or how will this is coming next, actually. Will the 49ers beat the Cowboys? That's going to be the next show. So stay tuned for that one. This has been Brock Purdy against that Dallas defense, setting up the run. So important for the 49ers. Why didn't everybody like the video? Subscribe to the channel, do all that good stuff because so much more content is going to be flowing in here over the next 48 hours or so before the 49ers get set to play the Cowboys. All right, I'm off to the facility now. Report from there. Talk to you soon.